lead and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky Strike is first again.
Cool snow, fresh, cool taste, so clean, so refreshing, smoke cool.
As cool and as clean. He liked to smoke cigars. And each time he took one out, he asked me the same question. Do you like music? Yes, I'd say.
Hi, my name is Greg Fine. Some of you may also know me as the Hidden Tiger. With this tutorial, we're going to explore the world of music for television commercials, or spot composing, as it's sometimes called. Through the years, I've had the opportunity to work with many of the top music houses and advertising agencies in the world. One of the things I love about working on music for TV commercials is that I get a chance to interact with so many different creative types, like music producers, session musicians, vocal and voiceover talent, and mix engineers. With each interaction, I learn something new, and it's from both the perspective of the lifelong student as well as the veteran spot composer that I bring you this tutorial. I'm always surprised to find how little information there is on this topic, especially compared to the amount of information available on things like mixing, engineering, and mastering. Well, I guess most musicians don't start out with a burning desire to write music for shampoo commercials after all. Most of us dream of becoming famous rock stars or concert pianists or something of that nature. In my case, I've always been interested in a wide variety of musical genres, everything from avant-garde jazz, to rock, to blues, to electronica, to orchestral music, and on. Maybe too many. Well, at least I thought so, until I discovered that I could pursue this eclectic mix by working as a commercial composer. You see, one of the beauties of writing for commercials is that you get the opportunity to constantly challenge yourself through working on a wide range of styles. On Monday, you might be the jazz guy, the electronica guy on Tuesday, and the avant-garde orchestrator on Wednesday. Over the past 20 years, I've worked on hundreds of commercials, and they've all been different and challenging in their own way. From my first funky Tower of Power style track for Burger King to go-go music for Old Navy to enigmatic electronica for Calvin Klein, working in commercials has been a tremendous musical education and strengthened my skills as a writer, performer, producer, arranger, engineer, and mixer. It's often taken me into unfamiliar stylistic territory, outside my comfort zone, into genres like spaghetti western music, spy music, country music, Brazilian music. You name it, I've probably gotten called to write it. There's a stressful part, too, of course, to working in this industry. It's highly competitive for one. You must learn to face rejection, yet continue to push on. You're under the constant pressure of tight deadlines, and most television commercials have a relatively short lifespan. As we know, however, from childhood, some music for commercials stays with us for many years and becomes part of our larger culture. Primarily, I'm talking about those catchy little tunes called jingles, which we'll be getting into more later in this tutorial. So what exactly is a spot, and what can original music do for spots? Well, a spot is simply a television commercial for a particular product. Spots have various lengths. However, the most common today is 30 seconds. You'll also find 60 seconds and 15 seconds to be common. Often, 15-second spots or anything under 30 seconds will be derivatives of a parent 30-second spot. These derivatives are referred to as cutdowns. We'll be delving more into cutdowns later on. Occasionally, even longer spots such as 90 seconds are produced. This is often the case when a commercial is going for a more artistic statement. Now, if you go back to the commercials of the 1950s and 1960s, you'll find that the average length then was 60 seconds. And the reason for this is that fewer commercials were shown during television breaks in those days. As you explore this tutorial, some of the concepts might seem basic and obvious to you, whereas others will challenge your very notion of what music is and what it means to you. I promise, though, that if you stay with it, you'll gain an understanding of the mindset the commercial composer must have to succeed in this business. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be watching television commercials in a whole new way. We'll start out by examining the role of music in spots and talk a little further about the challenges that composers face in the industry. By the way, when you hear me talk about composers or spot composers, I'm using that term broadly because, as we'll find out, the modern-day spot composer is often also the arranger and the producer, performer, programmer, engineer, and mixer. We'll then move on to a brief history of music for advertising, mostly to illustrate the extent to which the industry has changed. I'll give you an overview on how the industry is structured and talk about the skills you need to develop in order to work consistently as a spot composer. In Part 2, we'll venture into a discussion of spot structure, genres, and terminology. You'll begin to pay attention to the dramatic or narrative arc of a commercial and see how the music works within it to make the brand's message more effective. You'll learn the language of spot composing so that, when you're on a job, you'll understand what the client's asking you to do. I'll also talk about the video reel, something you'll need to know about if you want to get started working in the industry. In the third part, we'll take a look at an actual spot and work through it to see the creative process in action. I'll take you from start to finish and show you exactly how I analyze the initial briefing materials all the way through the composing, performing, and mixing stages. Some valuable tips on working with the temp track and the VO, as well as checking your mix on limited range speakers, will be provided here. Last but not least important will be a discussion of archiving your tracks for the purpose of future recalls or simply so you can maximize your music library. So thanks for joining me. Now let's get into it.